How to Drink With Me is based on true events. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Have a Drink With Me. I'm Dylan Polniak, and I am with Tom Flynn.
Hello, everybody. My name's Tom Flynn. And I'm with
Flynn.
Dylan Polniak.
The Dylan Polniak.
The Dylan Polniak.
So we're talking about part 1 of Star Wars podcast. This is going to be Star Wars Episode 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
These are 3 films that I was not pissed about.
Let's talk first, before we start talking about the prequels.
We should talk about what we're drinking.
Let's talk about you want to either talk about what we're drinking or just about Star Wars in general.
We'll start with our drinking. We'll get it out of the way, and we'll start.
Let's do it.
We'll talk about the.
So what are we
movies.
drinking?
We are drinking what I like to call for this episode Four Loko.
Force Loko.
It's actually fruit punch and watermelon Four Loko. We've got the light side, which is green watermelon, and we have the dark side, which is Sith red fruit punch.
I believe I'm drinking watermelon.
You're drinking fruit punch. I'm the only light side in this situation.
Fuck
Tom,
me, right?
Everybody do that to Tom. This is the first time he's ever had Four Loko.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever had Four Loko without caffeine in it.
That's crazy. So there was caffeine in this shit before?
Yeah, it was insane. It was like drinking 12 beers in 5 minutes.
That's cray shenanay.
What fucking character is that?
Martin.
Lawrence.
Yo, what's up? How y'all doing?
I don't like that this hasn't had anything to do with Star Wars yet. Let's talk about Star Wars.
Let's talk about Star Wars, y'all. What you
This character gotta go.
I want to talk like this the whole time. Let's talk about Star Wars, y'all. Go, do some Star Wars.
Come on, Star Wars me, Star Wars guy.
Wars.
I absolutely love Star Wars. It's one of the only things that I've loved for as long as I've ever loved anything. Right next to wrestling. Wrestling will be one of our next episodes, but I've watched wrestling. I've watched wrestling. All right.
Let's just talk about wrestling instead of the fucking prequels.
Yeah, wrestling episode
okay.
1. I've watched Star Wars for probably 20 years now. And unfortunately, Return of the Jedi was the first movie I watched. I was not seeing them in the correct order.
That's cool. So Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, was kind of like my babysitter growing up. My parents would just put it on.
Did
they
you
had
have sex with it?
Yeah. Good one. You still got it, Dylan.
Thanks. I should after all this.
Oh, dude. So, yeah, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, was kind of like my babysitter because my parents would always put it on VHS whenever whenever they needed me to shut up. So, I watched that movie a lot growing up. And then, I watched it from when I was 3 until I was about 5 or 6. And then one day when I was 5 or 6, somebody said, "Did you know that there's a Star Wars Part 2?" And I was like, "What?" "Yeah, there's another one." And I was like, "You've got to be shitting me." So,
how old were you when you said that?
I was probably about either 4 or 5 or 6.
Hey,
I'm leaning towards 4.
I'm 4 years old, and you have got to be shitting me.
That's what I said. I said, "Hey, listen, I'm 4 years old. You've got to be shitting me." And the other 4-year-old was like, "I'm shitting you negative." And then he showed me the Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, he showed me his diaper, and he had negative shat.
If there is anything that could resemble negative poop, it's The Empire Strikes Back. Because that movie is...
Yeah.
It's not poop. I'll tell you that.
That's that's a missing diaper.
Oh, yeah.
That's how not shit it is.
No, it's a clean diaper. That's clean as a whistle. I'll tell you that. Because that's a great
I would
movie.
eat out of that diaper.
I would eat off of that negative crap diaper. What are we even talking about? We're talking about Empire Strikes Back. We're talking about Empire Strikes Back and how freaking brilliant it is. It's great, you guys. So shut up.
Oh, yeah. That is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I thought we were still talking about episode
It's
4.
good. So then, I was obsessed with that. And then, I didn't see Return of the Jedi until I was like maybe 6, and I saw it in a hotel room with my parents on like a pay-per-view type of thing. Instead of porn, we watched Return of the Jedi. You know, because usually when you're with your parents, you watch porn. You know, such a cliche.
Yeah, I know.
Watching porn on the old family TV.
Yeah, early 90s was the first time I ever watched porn with my parents as well.
That would be awful. They'd be like, cover your eyes. Keep covering them. Keep covering them.
Ears.
Cover your ears. They just want to power through it. You keep watching.
I always felt so weird. Just in movies where there was like kissing, I was always like, I shouldn't be watching
getting my
this.
child boners.
I wouldn't get erections, but I was like, I feel weird watching this with other people. Like,
yeah,
you straight up kissed her.
Let alone your parents, right? Shit.
Shout out to Hank and Bert.
My dad would always jump up and get a
boner.
He would jump up and get like a TV-sized pillow and put it in front of the TV with the pillow. Yes, I understand. Your thing is much funnier than my thing. So,
your dad would put a pillow in front of the television.
Yeah, but it's much funnier to say he jumped up and had a boner.
My dad. Oh, anytime something crazy would show up on TV, my dad would jump up with his TV-sized boner and just sing.
What if he tried? Yeah, like trying to. If he attempted to block the TV with his boner.
Just don't check.
So
don't look at the bottom half.
Just like
don't look from the left corner to the right.
Yeah,
bottom right.
It would be like a diagonal. Like so, you'd see the upper left diagonal, and
that was my
the
lightsaber
lower right
noise.
Would be half boner, half shorts. Or whatever your dad was wearing.
So thanks for joining us in this episode about Star Wars.
Yeah, we're talking Star Wars here if you're just joining us. Anyway, should we go to a caller? Let's do that. Let's go to the phones.
Hello, it's me, the caller.
Great. Do you have a question about Star Wars that we can answer for you?
No, I just really like it.
Oh, that's great. Well, see you later. Anyway, Dylan, what do you think?
Oh, I think that was a great call.
Cool.
Let's get into our top 10. We both are huge fans of Star Wars. I have all the action figures from episode 3 until 5.
But here's
6,
the thing.
I meant.
Here's the thing. Since this being the first episode where we discuss Star Wars and all, we're gonna go in the order that Sir Lucas intended them to be viewed.
Sir George of Lucas.
Yeah, Sir George Lucas. He intended them to be. He made episode 4 through 6 first, and special effect is just a tool. It's a means of telling a story.
Until Misa.
Yeah, well, I was highly influenced by the work of Stephen Fetchit, and so I decided to make the Gungan.
Did you say Steppenwolf?
Yeah, Steppenwolf. I really like Steppenwolf. They're great band that I listened to in the when I would use my profos, or as I like to call them, condoms.
All right, let's get the hell out of here.
We used to call them profos back when I was a teen.
George, you gotta go.
Anyway, I'll
go.
I'll talk to you guys later.
No, he won't.
Wow, did you guys see George Lucas was just here? That's so fucking crazy.
Him and his wacky double chin.
Oh man, what a goiter.
Let's George Goiter. I was gonna say Lawrence.
Oh, I thought you were summoning.
God, get out of here, George.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Too much Force Loko already. If you guys have not realized yet, this episode is about Star Wars. And Tom and I are going to go through our top 10 parts of the new trilogy.
The prequels.
Some would say the best
the prequel trilogy. What? Who would say that?
We're going to start with number 10.
So here's the thing. I have been forced to pick out things that I like.
Cool pun.
Oh, pun intended.
Tom's force has been awakened.
I've been forced to pick out things that I enjoy about the prequel trilogy, which is very difficult for me. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and move on.
There's one thing that I want to say about the prequel trilogy. Everyone looks at it as Jar Jar Binks is a terrible part of the movie.
Sure.
And that Hayden Christensen is a bad actor.
Yep.
But if you look at the movies this way, look at them as Obi-Wan's origin stories.
Right.
Even though he's not the main character in these, look at it that way, and then you see he's training Anakin for his master. This is something that a dying wish that he's making happen. So Anakin is just a terrible actor. Like, look at it as the story and not as a movie.
Here's the thing, though. Hayden Christensen, I honestly do not believe he's a bad actor. I think he's a pretty good actor.
I don't think so either.
Have you seen the movie Shattered Glass?
I love Shattered Glass.
He's brilliant in that movie.
I love that. I love
Life as a House. He's great He's great in movies. He has the potential to be great.
Absolutely.
And then what's it called? Jumpers.
I love Jumper so much. Him and Mace Windu.
Yeah, he's good. He's not a bad actor. In these movies, he's a bad actor. Not a very good performance.
I think he was poorly directed.
There you go.
I would like to say he was poorly directed in the movies because we've both seen what he can do outside of the Star Wars films.
Well, listen, I tried my best.
Lucas,
I was really just trying to
get out of here.
Okay, sorry.
So, he jumps in.
God,
uncalled for.
It's terrible. He's just ripping through the duct tape he's got on his chair. But if you look at the movies as the Star Wars story and not as a Hollywood film.
Right, because God forbid we look at a movie as a Hollywood film.
But look at Anakin Skywalker as just a weird person to talk to. Not an actor portraying a character poorly, but look at it as Anakin Skywalker is a little weird at talking, and he's not good at it. Look at it that way, everyone. Stop what you're doing. Look at it that way. And then Jar Jar Binks was a terrible, not a terrible character, voiced incorrectly. If he had a different demeanor, he wouldn't have been hated as much.
The thing about it is, like, the actor Ahmed Best who played him fucking committed to that.
And
role.
he did a great job. And
he did a great job at that horrible thing he was doing.
Yeah, it just sucks that is what the character was put in to be. Everyone was supposed to be annoyed by the character, and the character was supposed to be seen as this total screw up who does everything wrong. Who honestly is the absolute reason that Anakin became Darth Vader, because he voted Palpatine to be Chancellor or Emperor. He voted him in instead of Padme, because Padme was getting busy, if you guys know what I mean.
What does that mean?
She practiced kissing with Anakin.
Oh.
And he is the sole reason that the war against the CIS
clones
ended. The droids.
Oh, the droids.
The droid army. He was a huge part of the prequels in two major plot points, and it's just unfortunate that they gave him this crazy, weird voice. He could have sounded any other way, and he would have been fine, but they made him an annoying character.
I have a request.
What song would you like to hear, sir?
The song where we stop talking about Jar Jar Binks. Can we just move on with the
top 10?
There you go. Cool.
Tom's upset.
I know. I just don't want to talk about Jar Jar Binks.
Well, I just wanted to bring that out first because
it's making me so angry.
That's the main part of the films. Like anytime you mention the prequels, someone says Jar Jar Binks. But if you think of them, so what I was trying to get at, think of them from Obi-Wan's point of view. This is Obi-Wan becoming the badass who just had to deal with Jar Jar Binks, had to deal with raising Anakin Skywalker because his master died. And now that's leading you into episode 4, where you don't know anything about Obi-Wan. He's just this hermit, but now you know his backstory as to why he's the way he is. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the way I look at it. And I enjoy the first 3 films so much more because of that.
Okay, cool.
That's what I was getting at. So we will start with our top 10 now.
Lists. Now, go ahead.
My number 10 is going to be pod racing.
Pod racing. Now this is pod racing. That's what he says, right?
Yep. So with pod racing, I think it's a fun thing to add in to show that Anakin was basically born to be a pilot because
he's really good at racing pods. Right?
Because Vader's really good with flying his TIE fighter. So
right.
I believe Obi-Wan says that he was a great. What are you laughing about?
I just pictured him like in A New Hope, like he's like, I have you now, just like racing pods, like he just...
There was a character. Oh my God, what was the character's name? He like walked on his hands, and he. It was like bulbous something. I want to say
Sebulba.
I want to say Bulbasaur.
Why the fuck do I know that? Okay, go ahead.
There's nothing wrong with that character.
Okay,
but I think pod racing was a good thing to add into episode 1 to show how Darth Vader became such a good pilot before taken over by the dark side.
Totally.
I feel like every time that you say something, you're just completely condescending of whatever I'm saying.
No, I'm not. Dude, I'm not.
Speak your feelings, Tom.
I just every.
So you didn't like pod racing?
No, I did. I did like it for just the sheer spectacle of it. And I actually have that on my list as well.
And I look at it as a plot point more than just something
It's
showy for their first film.
I think I kind of disagree with you just because I feel like the story stops just so that we can have this little spectacle thing in the middle of the thing. Whatever story has been kicked up and going comes to a complete halt to have this little moment where he's like, oh, we got to make sure that Anakin wins his freedom through the pod race here. And we know what fucking happens. He's going to win. And yeah. There is tension in there because there's a moment where his like engines fail or something, and he has to like plug something into another thing. Like he plugs like a thing into the cigarette lighter in his pod, and it ignites another engine. He's like, "Oh, my engines are failing," and then he plugs it in, and it's good to go again.
Jake Lloyd was a puppet.
Yeah, Jake Lloyd was great.
I do want to say, like,
Except he wasn't.
I'm not completely defending the movie. Like, I don't think episode 1 needed to happen at all.
No, I understand.
Could have been completely left out. But
there's good stuff in it. There's good stuff in it.
4, 5, and 6, there's a part where Obi-Wan says that Anakin Skywalker was an amazing pilot.
Right.
So I like.
And what he meant was that he won his freedom in a pod race.
Yeah, and I don't think Lucas added pod racing in to be like.
Well,
we'll ask George. Did you mean to add pod racing in to explain Obi-Wan saying how good of a pilot he was?
Yes. Well, we did have the line in A New Hope where Obi-Wan explains that he's a good pilot, and so I did want to include a scene that shows Anakin sort of in his prime, and of course I feel like his prime is in when he's a small child. So, you know, he's a slave. He comes from nothing. He literally comes from nothing because there was no father, and it just drives home the fact that he's a great pod racer. And
right, get out of here, George.
The other pod racers eat poodoo, as they say. That's a little Star Wars joke. Okay, bye.
Thanks, George. So as George just said. Pod racing had nothing to do with with 4, 5, and 6. Actually, it did. But I feel like pod racing was a good nod to Obi-Wan saying Anakin was a good pilot.
Yeah, he's a better pilot than the other ones.
It was a fun thing to add into the movie because it had been
it
had been 20 years since
what
the
I
last
love
movie.
about that is the fucking like redneck sand people who like get their kicks out of like shooting at the pods.
Yeah.
And, like, arr, and
they're
great.
Totally the rednecks who throw like firecrackers at people.
Yeah, they're great. I love that. My favorite thing in the prequels. Just kidding.
What was your number 10?
My number 10 is the fact that the word "no" is echoed throughout the entire series. And like I've seen stuff where George Lucas talks about he thinks that it's important. He thinks
Say no.
He thinks it's important for all of the episodes to
rhyme. He's like, it's like poetry. Each stanza rhymes with the last one.
And I'm like, so you just said that you're writing poetry here. Cool.
The longest freaking haiku.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
witnessed.
he likes to. He thinks that like if things rhyme, then it's like poetry, and if it's like poetry, that must mean it's good.
Yeah.
So I've heard him say that in like behind the scenes interviews and documentaries and stuff like that for episode 1. So anyway, one of the things that rhymes is the word no throughout every single episode. So if you see episode 1, when Qui-Gon Jinn, spoiler alert, dies, what does Obi-Wan say?
No.
Right. And in episode 2, when Anakin starts killing sand people, Tusken Raiders, what does Qui-Gon Jinn's spirit say?
No.
In episode 3, when Darth Vader realizes that Padme is dead, what does he say?
No.
When in episode 4, when fucking Ben Kenobi dies, what does Luke say?
Nah.
Right. When in episode 5, when Darth Vader says, "I'm your father," what does Luke say?
Narp.
Right. And, well, in the third one, they change it up a bit. This is where they change it up a bit, guys. So, you ready here? This is what happens. He says, "If you don't turn to the dark side, then perhaps your sister will." Luke says, "Never!" So
Luke ruined it.
it's an exclamation point at the end of both trilogies.
Never.
So,
And he points his finger to the air.
I don't know. I don't know. Did somebody say no in?
I'm sure somebody says no.
Okay. I mean, and there's also I've got a bad feeling about this and all that superficial
Yeah.
bullshit. But whatever. It all rhymes, so it's good. There we go. Go ahead. Move on. Go.
All right, number 9. I'm going to go with Anakin beheading Count Dooku.
Ah.
This is the first point
Do
where
it.
Anakin absolutely does something like evil.
Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that.
Is that supposed to be Hayden Christensen?
In many ways, I'm more powerful than him.
Yes.
I shouldn't have done that.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I am Anakin of Skywalker. I love it.
ahead,
Emperor is like,
Yes, sure, yes.
Do
yes,
it.
yes,
Do
yes,
it.
get him.
Do it. Count Dooku says nothing to protest. He just goes,
he just completely accepts
He doesn't- yeah.
that Anakin's going to cut his head off with his and Anakin's lightsaber.
Do
And It's
it.
great foreshadowing because it's the first time Anakin's ever had a red lightsaber. In
I
his
remember
hand.
there's, oh, you're right. I remember there's being some really cool sound effects at the end of that. Like when he does it, there's like a little like feedback that the lightsaber does, like, like echoes throughout the room. Ben Burt.
And he
Ben
cuts his
Burt-
hands off first.
As shitty as the prequels are, Ben Burt is still a good sound designer throughout all of it. Anyway, go ahead. Keep going. Oh, wait, no, is it me? Is it me now?
But I
don't wanna keep
I
talking
love
about that.
He cut his hands off first.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's nothing Dooku can do without his
Except,
then-
well, yeah, maybe could he use the Force without his hands?
I don't-
Because
I
there's a
don't
lot of
think so.
there's a lot of hand gestures that go with the Force.
Yeah, and I
Right?
think that you need, I think you at least need a mechanical hand, as Anakin and Luke have both shown us. But
Totally.
Dooku was completely defenseless, and if Anakin was just like, "Nah, I shouldn't do this," he would be wearing his full white costume from the Star Wars Infinities comic books.
Oh wow. Yeah, we haven't really talked about that yet, though. I think
One
maybe
day.
we'll get to that in like a future episode, probably.
I am pouring Tom
Jeez.
a green Force Loko. I'm trying to bring him back to the light side.
I guess you're.
Our producer Sammy has had nothing but red Four Loko.
And you're not
Force
drinking
Loko.
anything.
I have already finished 3 glasses of Force Loco, and I'm
you
pouring
serious?
my Force. May the 4th be with you. Do a quick cheers here. Tom, what
Cheers.
is your number 9?
Number 9. Mm-hmm.
My number 9.
My number 9 is the opening to Revenge of the Sith.
The space battle?
Yes. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good stuff. It's good popcorn fun. Perfect thing you want to watch while you're shoving popcorn into your face. And I love how the title crawl starts with war. Like the first word is war. With like I think there's like 3 exclamation points
There's
or something.
17.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the first 3 lines of the crawl are exclamation
the entire
points.
Crawl is just
war, and then it takes the entire like
Eddie Murphy shot
2.5 minutes to crawl up with just exclamation points.
And everyone's like, "Oh my god,
I
think this is a war."
Yeah. How fucking funny would that have been? Anyway,
Tyler,
so
I think this
there's
movie's
a
about
very
war.
there's like a oneer, there's like a George Lucas oneer shot. Like, you know, oneers are typically like really cool. We've seen them in True Detective. We've seen them in like Brian De Palma films and stuff like that. They're like extended takes to take, you know, over 10 minutes or something like that are really cool. So we have this oneer shot that goes from the crawl down to a spaceship over to Anakin and Obi-Wan's ship, and I think it like follows them for several minutes. I think it goes inside the cockpit or something like that, and yeah, that whole entire opening is incredible. It's a technical feat. I think originally the opening of Revenge of the Sith was like an hour long. I think that they didn't get off that ship until an hour into the movie of the first cut or something like that. And
they were on there for a very long time.
Well, they're on there, but in the first cut, I think it was intended to be almost like Die Hard on a Imperial cruiser or something, or like not an Imperial cruiser because the Empire wasn't around really yet. It was like the Separatists. Is that it?
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a Separatist cruiser that they were in, and yeah, so like, cool. That was cool, right?
I loved the intro.
That was great.
With all like those bug droids ripping Anakin's
And
ship
all
apart.
the Roger droids.
And the part where R2-D2 shoots the oil everywhere and then uses his little rocket booster.
There's very little music. I love it because there's so much music throughout all of Star Wars that you really notice the parts where there is no music.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of moments where there is no music in the opening.
It's very well done.
Yeah, like with the parts where they're like in the elevator shaft and there's like they're in the coolant, like the water or something like that. And I don't know. There's it's this whole like mini adventure within the beginning of this movie of Revenge of the Sith.
My number 8 here is the Clone Troopers. This is back before the Stormtroopers when they actually knew how to shoot people. In episode 4, 5, and 6, there's only one instance in the entire trilogy where a Stormtrooper shoots one of the heroes. And
Leia?
that's Return of the Jedi, and Leia gets shot in the arm on Endor.
It's not bad. Yeah. That's what she said.
And that's the only time. But if you, in the...
But it wasn't bad. It wasn't like a mortal
merely a flesh wound.
hit. Yeah. So
Tis a scratch. But in
just a flesh wound.
in 1, 2, and 3,
Your arm's off. No,
the Clone Troopers are completely in sync with each other. They're a military. They kill everything that they need to. Precision accuracy. Like, every shot fucking counts.
Yeah.
And then 4, 5, and 6, they're just like, I don't know. Maybe their helmets are weird. Like, the black part of their helmets are just actually black. You can't actually see through them.
Well, the clones were. I think that when you're a good guy, you're a better shot. Usually in these movies.
But they were all clones of Jango Fett, and Jango Fett wasn't a good guy.
True, but they were fighting on the side of the good guys for a while.
Yeah.
Correct?
They were.
Yeah, because they were how brilliant is that? Let's have a war. It's going to be clones versus droids.
Mm-hmm.
Basically,
Two sets of
if there's
things
any
that don't matter.
If there's any casualties, who gives a shit?
Yeah. It was great. But I loved this because I watched the Clone Wars cartoon, the animated thing, the 2D like drawing animated film as
oh,
well.
that one. Yeah, there's
And
that
it was
one episode.
amazing watching
like, hand signals.
Yeah,
and stuff.
they all had
Yeah.
hand signals. They were
Genndy
very
Tartakovsky.
precise.
Yeah,
So fucking good.
Genndy Tartakovsky was instrumental in bringing those to life. He did like Dexter's Laboratory, and I think possibly
It was
Powerpuff Girls. Maybe
That's all I thought
with
of
Mike
while watching
McCracken.
those.
Yeah,
They were great.
these people are great. What?
We'll go to your number 8.
Okay, so my number 8 is the Watto and Anakin reunion in episode 2, Attack of the Clones. There's a part where Padme and Anakin wind up back on Tatooine. Why? I can't fucking remember. And we have a little run-in with old Watto, who used to be Anakin's slave owner. That wonderful figure in his life. And so, like, I don't know. Like, I think when they first see each other, Watto doesn't recognize Anakin, and then Anakin, like, fixes something, and he's like, "What? I don't remember anybody who could fix things like that except for... What? Little Annie? Annie? Oh, what do you know? A Jedi, eh?"
Like they were friends at one point.
"Oh, look at you, man, you have become." He's
The
floating.
little wings on his
he's little
fat, hairy body.
Yeah, and he's floating. They're keeping him afloat. It's great. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like that performance of that CG character, like you can really see the moment of recognition. I think that was some brilliant character animation. I feel like that was a better performance than a lot of the live action performances in the movie. I really like there's that moment of recognition where he's like, "Annie? Little Annie?" Like he like looks him up and down and stuff.
I could see Tom's face.
I'm trying to give you guys my interpretation of that brilliant performance. He's like, "Okay, we're rolling here. We're rolling here on Sammy's
iPhone. Take a
iPhone.
little video of this.
Okay, ready? Annie? Little Annie? Well, what do you know? A Jedi!" Yeah, so it's great. Yeah.
Yeah. I one of my favorite parts from episode 1 is Qui-Gon Jinn saying Republican credits will be fine. And
No, they won't. What are you waving your hand about like you're some sort of Jedi or something?
like Watto is a garbage person.
He's a garbage man
and
who
you would
collects
think
garbage.
that he's a simple-minded person, but the Force doesn't work on Watto.
The Force does not work on my species. The flying hummingbird lizard things with
the big nose.
the big nose.
they won't.
No, they won't. My wife.
I was just going to say, that's Borat, Watto.
Whoa, that.
Bordeaux. My wife. Jesus Christ. So I'm going to move on to the next part while trying to deal with this. This is one of my favorite parts from the original trilogy that kind of has to do with this.
What's the matter?
But but Qui-Gon Jinn is one of these, and it's the Jedi from the prequel trilogy, specifically the Battle of Geonosia. The arena.
Okay.
When Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Padme are all chained to the columns.
Yep.
In that situation, all of the Jedi are so badass in that.
Yeah.
Like Kit Fisto.
Well, I'll get in because this is
Okay.
kind of in my list a little bit.
Okay.
Anyway, spoiler alert. But
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert for our own episode.
Spoiler.
Hey, what do you know? A spoiler is
A chance cube.
the third act of Attack of the Clones. What do you know?
Just get on with it.
No, you keep going. You had stuff to say. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I was just saying
With
it's
Watto.
it's
Watto
cool
did
to
not mean to interrupt you.
It's cool to see what the Jedi used to be, because in the 4, 5, and 6, we're seeing the only Jedi be Obi-Wan, Vader, and Luke, and they're either old or they're extremely novice, so they don't have movements, and they're just very new to all of this. It seems they aren't elegant, Sammy, and it's just like more of a forceful thing. But in episode 1, 2, and 3, it's like a dance almost. Like that's
it's very balletic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like synchronized and beautiful, and I can only imagine them like twirling their arms.
Yeah,
just
like a crouching
humming.
tiger, hidden dragon type of thing. Yeah.
I'm gonna kill this guy.
That's what they're thinking. That's their internal monologue.
I'm gonna kill this
And then Mace
guy.
Windu shows up and he's like, "Me too."
Bam, motherfucker.
But it's great. It's the first time we get to see the Jedi really,
In their prime, yeah.
just
Kicking ass,
dance with their
taking
light
names.
swords.
dancing with light swords. So my next number.
Is this your 7 or 6?
I think this is my 6.
Okay.
Yeah. The Duel of the Fates theme, I think, is awesome. I feel like that almost should have been only hinted at in episodes 1 and 2, and then fully realized in episode 3, because the Duel of the Fates, that title alone, sort of like denotes the freaking battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin. But they kind of like blow their load way too early on the fight between Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Darth Maul. And Duel of the Fates is sort of like the soundtrack to that whole lightsaber duel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, yeah, they definitely prematurely use that theme, because that's such a powerful theme. That like that's like the best theme in the entire prequel trilogy, I think.
And if you think of it, if you listen to it without watching the Star Wars films ever, you're going to be like, this is very stupid. This is just kind of a silly thing that's happening. But it's
The music by
odd.
itself?
Yeah, it's odd without ever seeing Star Wars ever. And if you heard that song, you'd probably be like, this is kind of dumb. But
Here's the thing.
it's insane how well it goes with Star Wars.
Okay, that said, knowing Star Wars, if you know Star Wars and you know the world, and then you hear that music, I personally feel like that music, if you hear that music without seeing anything of episode 1, the movie that's in your head while that music plays is 10 times better than the movie winds up actually being. But that's just my opinion. As Dylan pours more Jolly Rancher flavored alcohol.
We've finished off the Four Loko. We've poured the remainder of the Four Loko into our cups. We're not done drinking. They're just poured into our glasses.
Sorry, guys.
Music plays a huge part in every scene.
In every Star Wars
they
film.
know they know the right time to play it. They know the right time to cut it.
Duel of the Fates is great.
And the songs are all very well done.
Even when I play with my dog, like whenever my dog like play bites me or whatever, and I put my hands underneath the bed sheets and stuff, I actually like do the theme from Duel of the Fates, and I'm like while I'm playing with my dog. It's great.
And that's what I would do as well. If I knew the songs by heart and I could sing them, that's what I would do. My number 6 is General Grievous. I think General Grievous is one of the most badass characters that have ever been introduced in the Sith side of the Star Wars universe. Because homeboy hunts Jedi. He's not just some Sith who's trying to gain power. He's not going anywhere in his life. He is killing Jedi and collecting their lightsabers.
Okay.
He's not trying to rule the galaxy. He's not trying to like do anything but just freaking hunt these dudes.
Here's the thing.
Oh, Tom's here.
Here's the thing. General Grievous, yeah, his look is really great. I love his look. His introduction in the Clone Wars is fucking awesome. The way that they portrayed him in the Clone Wars is fucking awesome. They portrayed him. It's almost like he was. I feel like they got Gary Oldman or somebody to voice him in that cartoon. But in the movie, he shows up and he's all like,
because it lets you know that he's dying. Because he's
my name is General Grievous.
He's a head, a heart, and I think lungs.
Yeah.
And he's been dying every other part of him is dying. He's just a metal being with a little bit of parts left from what he used to be, which was a full-bodied character.
Yeah,
in the EU, of course.
He's more cartoony in the movie than he is in the cartoon. I feel like he's so like goofy. He's like, hello, my name is General Grievous.
But if you think of it, the cartoon actually takes place between 2 and 3,
right? Where he's got his shit together.
Between that, where he's slowly dying.
They do something.
So it makes sense.
They do something to like cave in his chest cavity or something like that, which gives him a cough.
Yeah,
but I remember like him being like, okay, I remember being like, I'm totally on board with all the images I've seen of General Grievous. And then when he first shows up in the movie, my friends and I all just looked at each other and just kind of rolled our eyes, and we were like, what did they do to this guy?
Oh, I loved him. I have no complaints with him at all. And I love him even more in the cartoon and in the comic books. Darth Vader comic book, which is officially canon, which I love.
Cool.
There's a character, a Mon Calamari, who is like Admiral. Had to stop to burp. Like Admiral Akbar
Calamari
species, Mon Calamari, who has the exact same body as General Grievous, and he wants to hunt Jedi like General Grievous did. So he's kind of got a Kylo Ren thing going.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
How old were you when you saw Revenge of the Sith?
Revenge of the Sith, 2005. So I was 15.
Okay. I was 25. So I was no, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be like, hey,
you're a child
so
and I
much
was an adult.
No, that's not what I'm saying, Dylan. I'm saying
You're not 5 years older than me.
Huh?
Wait, yeah, you are. All right, go ahead.
I'm 10 years older than you.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. So like, yeah, like I don't know. There's a difference between a 25-year-old going to see this and a 15-year-old going to see this movie. Don't you think?
One has a fucking open mind and the other one's Tom.
Yeah, that might be. That might be. And also
that's another thing too with all of the Star Wars films. It depends, like how you see the film depends on how old you were when you first saw it versus now. Like we saw the movies, the original trilogy, probably the same time. You were 6 or 7.
I'm not 10 years older than you.
Just about. You're about 9 years older than me.
Okay.
But that doesn't matter. Age doesn't matter, ladies.
Anyway.
But when you saw the first trilogy, you were 7, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was like between 2 and. Yeah, like 6.
Yeah,
but
me
I saw
too.
them all on video.
Me too. So you and I probably have the same views about that.
Yeah.
Where
but there was
we
more...
saw the new trilogy 1, 2, and 3 as they came out. Mm-hmm. So we'll have different views.
But
on
listen, like I wish I wanted to love the prequels so much. I was there opening day on every one of them. Anyway.
I was there for 2 and 3. Those are the only 2 I saw in theater.
Okay.
All right, so General Grievous, my number 6. What was yours?
My number 6 is, we've already talked about it, pod racing. Only because yes, it is a point where the story stops and everything, but it is a spectacle to behold. It is a fun moment with some tension. And yeah, we do have a villain momentarily
Bulbasaur.
in Sebulba.
Bulbasaur.
And there we go. So that's my number 6, pod racing. Yeah.
Great way to wrap this. I think our 10 to 6 are very informative.
Yes.
And I enjoyed talking about them. So
Me too.
we are drinking Four Loko. We have finished the dark side. So the Force Loko fruit punch is gone. And we are on the Force Loko watermelon. Sammy has wrapped her drink. Tom and I have probably 2 quick drinks left. We've got one more shot that we're doing of we're going to do some Bushmills. This is just kind of a way to set the scene and to wrap our 5 to 1 of our top 10.
What?
We're gonna
5 to 1. Get it? Okay.
Yep.
Got it. I gotcha.
All right.
Because
We're
gonna begin those. We're
Yeah,
gonna begin
Tom's-
them, not
Tom's
wrap
with
them.
us.
Got it.
We're going to begin our
Okay.
5 to 1 where we wrap them.
Well, okay.
Now that Tom is here,
Sorry.
Tom, sorry.
George Lucas was sitting in my seat earlier, and I was just like, "Get the fuck out of my seat!"
He would not leave.
Yeah.
He had something to say about everything. So, let's do a quick shot, Tom. Let's kill these.
Okay. Do it. 1,
you on the other
2,
side.
3. See you on the side.
Republican credits will be fine. So,
Republican credits will be fine. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah. Qui-Gon.
Republican credits will be fine.
Yeah. Qui-Gon Jinn says it to Watto.
I think he says Republic.
Republican credits will be fine.
Republican. Okay. Moving on.
Does he
What's
say
your number
Republic
5?
credits will be fine?
Republic. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that.
That's all good.
All right, so
No.
we're going to go to
I love
our
it.
number 5.
I love it.
Mine is Order 66.
Okay, cool.
Was
Awesome.
that yours as well?
That was like my number 3.
Okay. I think this is a great moment because the clone troopers in the original the new trilogy are completely badass. They know what they're doing. They're fully strategic military, and they're well trained, and they've been on the Jedi side up until Order 66 is called, where they're ultimately supposed to follow their leader, Emperor Palpatine, Chancellor Palpatine.
They
at the
reveal
time.
themselves as pure automatons. Right?
Yes, they are all just pawns, basically.
Yeah. Mindless.
And this is where they start killing off
All the Jedi.
all of the Jedi.
All
and
of the
it's
Jedi.
Terrible.
It's actually like a really powerful montage with some great music and some really powerful imagery. One of my definitely one of my favorite parts of the prequel trilogy.
It's one of my favorite parts because it's a really good, heartfelt moment in the story.
It's sad.
But
it's very sad.
But it's one of my least favorite moments because I'm a huge fan of the Jedi. And you see everyone just kind of trying to just do their thing, and then out of nowhere, their allies start fighting them.
It's interesting. Like, do you ever have this in movies where you've seen a movie before and
I have seen a movie before.
Well, listen, you've seen a movie before, for instance, and you know that the character is headed down a dark path or headed down or something bad is about to happen, but you're watching it for a second or third whatever time, and you think to yourself, maybe this time it won't have that same outcome. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. You think to yourself, just don't do that. You know what I mean? Just don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Order 66 was such a punch to the heart.
It's a punch to the
Plo Koon,
ovary.
he's in his ship, still in the space battle that's happening, and he's trying to fight off the enemy, and then everyone turns on him. And the worst part is none of them know why this is happening, or it's your best friend just started shooting at you and you have no idea why, and you're never going to know because they're going to kill you before you find out. So it's such a sad moment for all of the Jedi, leading up to Anakin joining in on Order 66, where he goes to the Jedi Temple to kill off all of the children, all the Padawan.
That's a bummer. That's a huge bummer.
Total gosh darn bummer.
That's a total bummer. Yeah.
Let's get away from this.
I'm like pondering on how much of a bummer it is.
Yeah,
Like,
it's so sad. It's such a deep
because they're
and
like,
dark moment.
There's this moment where he's like this little boy who he's a youngling, and he's like, Master Annie, what do we do? What's happening? And he's just like looks at them with his yellow like thriller eyes,
and then
he starts killing them. Yeah,
his lightsaber just extracts.
Gosh, and he chops all those kids' heads off. Remember that part where they chops all their heads off?
He kills everyone.
Gosh, that's such a like violent scene for them to include in the prequels.
Yeah,
where they chop all the kids' heads off. That's so crazy. Anyway,
God damn it.
Moving on.
What's your number 5?
My number 5.
I hope it's something nice.
My number 5 we've already talked about. The third act of Attack of the Clones. Just the entire third act, because we go from this ridiculous fucking moment, which I'm sorry, it's fucking ridiculous, where Padme just decides she loves him. She loves Anakin.
Is
She's
this
just like
Geonosia that you're talking about?
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
And she just goes, so yeah, I truly, deeply love you. Even though you're a fucking psychopath who just killed a bunch of women and children.
And she knows what love is going to bring to him as a Jedi.
Right. And she just goes, I truly, deeply love you.
Black Swan.
And then they kiss. And then I guess that seems to like invigorate them for the freaking battle to come, which is amazing.
Yeah.
They have this like sort of like Ray Harryhausen-esque like battle with these like weird creature aliens.
Bugs.
Yeah, these like bugs, these giant Geonosian bugs who come out, and they have this like gladiator style battle with them. And it's awesome. That part is great. It's like pure like B movie fun. The stuff that Star Wars was based off of, inspired by from the beginning. All that stuff is happening, which leads into an attack on all of the Jedi. The Jedi come in to like intervene in this battle, which then spills out into the field outside of the arena, and it's this full on droids versus clones versus Jedi battle that's incredible. It's the first time that you see like doc style footage where it's, you have like zooms and you have like this sort of handheld, like it's a very digital feeling handheld. It's sort of like a style that was I guess patented by Joss Whedon with like Firefly and whatnot. And
then we also see Mace Windu kill Jango Fett.
We see that, yes, and we see little Boba Fett playing with Jango Fett's helmet, and I always wanted
head didn't fall out.
I always wanted to see the little head fall out of the helmet.
One thing that I after watching the Clone Wars cartoon, I was a little upset that they didn't show how badass Mace Windu was, because in the cartoon there's a point where he's up against probably 100
seen that. Yeah.
100 not battle droids.
What's the Gendy Tartakovsky ones, right? Like the 2D ones?
Right? Yeah. And
they've so good,
the droids that have the blaster in their arm might be battle droids.
Battle droids,
yeah,
they're battle droids, yeah.
And he just kind of waves his hand a little bit and just crushes them. They're gone.
I think does he like clench his fist and they like squash, they like implode or something?
And they show how badass he is. And you get in the films that he's a total badass, but you just sense that he's a badass. They don't necessarily show you, and most of it has to do with Samuel L. Jackson being Mace Windu, because immediately you're thinking that guy's going to be a badass.
Oh, sure. It's good casting. It's good
and it would be better if they showed him just kind of clenching his fists in the movie, just crushing Geonosians and some droids. I think that would have been a great setup for the Clone Wars cartoons.
Sure.
Clone Wars cartoons were kind of a little bit too much. Let's pick up where the films left off instead of let's show a different story that could add to the films, or it'd be a complete opposite or a complete addition to the films. All right.
Okay.
So Order 66.
Well, no, I just did the third act of the Attack of the Clones.
Oh yeah. So my number 4 is Kamino, Episode 2, Obi-Wan versus Jango Fett. I thought this was an amazing battle scene, and I loved the visual effects of it and them fighting out in the rain.
Yeah.
And it was very much just kind of, I felt like it was more Jango Fett just trying to get away from Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's trying to kill this guy.
I remember there being a lot of like shooting lassos or like shooting ropes and stuff at people.
There were like grappling hooks.
Grappling hooks, yeah.
And there, Jango Fett was trying to capture Obi-Wan, and I think at one point he grabbed his hands, and the cord wrapped around his hands, and he was like trying to pull him off.
Yeah.
And
then
eventually,
I remember there being good camera work, because there's not a lot of great camera work in the prequels, but that had some really good camera work.
Yeah, it was a great fight scene, and it was Obi-Wan, like...
What I mean by great is it's very subjective, but like, dynamic camera work with a lot of movements, etc.
Yeah, and it's Obi-Wan realizing that Jango Fett is a bad guy, and he's fighting him. So, it shows that Obi-Wan kind of knows. He doesn't necessarily know that the clones are bad, but he knows that they're cloned after a bad person.
Yeah.
But I thought that fight was really good. I enjoyed watching it. And in the Star Wars games, Battlefront 2, you can actually fight on Kamino. And it's a lot of frickin' fun. Sammy is nodding her head to confirm that there is a game called Battlefront.
Yeah.
And now she's smiling with all of her teeth. Your number 4, Tom.
My number 4 is Qui-Gon Jinn, just the character in general.
Okay.
I think it's a damn shame that we lost him so early in the prequel trilogy, because he's pretty great character. I think he's a total badass. He kind of represents like the Jedi in their prime, and I think that as far as because I think a lot of people give Lucas a lot of flack for destroying good or getting bad performances out of good actors in the prequel trilogy. Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn actually delivers a pretty good performance, I'd say.
Yeah,
I think he's good.
Don't disagree with that slightly.
You buy him as a very powerful, agile Jedi who is very spry and can hold his own against somebody like Darth Maul, and yet he has the gravitas that to pull off some of his more ethereal lines, like talking about the Force and all that shit.
And he realizes that there's something that needs to end the Empire, and he's so adamant about it that
but the Empire is not a thing yet. Do you think he has the foresight to realize that's coming about?
This is how I think. I think that.
How do you think?
I mean, he knows that there's a bad part of what's going on in the story.
Totes.
Like, he knows that there's villains in the story.
Yeah, there's villains
at this point. It's the
story.
Separatists.
Yeah.
The guys from Naboo, the Asians from Naboo,
right? And they're bad.
They're attacking us.
A blockade is a complete illegal.
Super racist.
Yeah,
but
it's bad.
He knows that there needs to be a balance to the Force.
Yes.
Without necessarily bad things happening. Like Darth Maul obviously exists, but he knows that Anakin needs to be brought in. But I think that he's so powerful that he's seeing that it's Anakin's son that is going to bring balance to the Force. I think that's how powerful Qui-Gon Jinn was.
Here's the thing. I think that Anakin still brings balance to the Force because Anakin is the one who actually throws the Emperor off of the cliff.
Yeah.
I think he winds up bringing balance to the Force. He's the one. His son is simply a mechanism that brings out the goodness. It's almost like they use Darth Vader as like a sleeper agent, as like a double agent who comes in and works his way into the Emperor's good graces and then eventually kills him from within almost. You know what I mean?
Anakin also had to do with Order 66. He's one of the main reasons that most of the Jedi died.
It's true.
In episode 3.
It's a risky move.
I don't think that's bringing balance. So it's possible that Qui-Gon saw that Luke was going to be that Anakin's son was going to be the balance of the Force. So maybe he was looking too much into it, but maybe he was also looking into at the point where Vader kills the Emperor, that's where the balance happens.
This is another bummer for me because it's basically it's to me it's kind of like Qui-Gon is saying like, hey, we can bring balance to the Force if we just kill everybody off and then leave one remaining Jedi.
Yeah.
And the Jedi Council is saying like, no, we can't do that. Let's just keep dealing with the Sith.
Yeah.
And have everybody be okay, but we'll fight the Sith, you know.
Either way, he knew that Skywalkers were the reason for the balance of the Force.
Yeah.
Which ultimately it was. It ended up being one Sith, Vader, and one Jedi, Luke, in the end.
Yeah.
At the end of episode 6, Luke and Vader were the last of Sith and Jedi. So that absolutely brings balance, and Qui-Gon called it right, but it may have been, with the wrong Skywalker. So my number 3 is actually the Geonosia Arena, which we had already discussed with my number 7 with the Jedi. I feel like we've talked enough in our top 10s that we can just move on to we'll move on to your number 4.
Okay. Well, my number 3.
Sorry, number 3
is the Order 66 montage. We've already talked about this. However, the only thing I would add is that apparently this was suggested by Francis Ford Coppola. And if you think about it, because Francis Ford Coppola and George Lucas are dear friends. Mm-hmm. Francis Ford Coppola, of course, changing the realm of mafia, of the mafia genre with The Godfather and the Godfather trilogy. The Order 66 montage is very much reminiscent of something that you might see in The Godfather, where Michael Corleone is taking out all of his enemies in one full swoop, with a bunch of, and so
the exploding cars and everything.
Right. It's kind of like it's very reminiscent of that. I couldn't help but think about that once I found out that Francis Ford Coppola kind of whispered in George Lucas's ear about doing something along these lines.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the way that George Lucas shoots, he shoots what he thinks is the movie. Then they go into editing, and then he schedules a month or 2 months of reshoots. And so it's he's very much an editor's director. He's shooting for the edit.
It feels like he's not confident enough with what he's doing.
He kind of shoots
and
around.
He should be, because
he shoots around the movie and then finds the movie in editing. And once he's got an edit down, he realizes what he's missing. He schedules another 2 months of shooting and shoots more stuff. And I feel like this is something that it was kind of it filled in holes, I guess. And Order 66 montage.
I mean, it had to happen.
Yeah, it did have to happen. I feel like he might have had some other way of doing it. Lucas might have had some other way of doing it first, and then Francis Ford Coppola probably came about and said like, "Hey, you should do kind of like what I did with Godfather."
And I don't think it needed to go a different way. Order 66, I feel, was the right thing for the movie.
Yeah, it's just as epic, and it's very
It sucks that it happens because, it's the first time that we get to see the Jedi be how badass that they actually are. With Ki-Adi Mundi.
They all kind of go out in the blaze of glory, and it's just basically like, let's set up as many glorious death scenes for all these Jedi that we've established in the other movies.
And what I like about Order 66 is it shows the Jedi fighting back, and they're doing a great job fighting back, but there's 20 people against you.
It's
so
just a bunch of clones.
It's good that they all ended that way. It's not good that they ended that way. It's good that they were fighting on their way out.
They were given a worthy death scene, at least. Yeah. I know what you're saying.
So with that, my number 2 is Episode 3, Anakin versus Obi-Wan. I love this because it's the only fight scene in Star Wars to go through that many locations. They were inside Mustafar. Yep. They were in the building. Then they were outside of the building. Then they were in the lava of the building. And then they were on the outside of the lava in the building, like on the ground.
Right.
And the fight scene went on for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I appreciate both characters' efforts in this fight. Like, from Episode 2, we knew Obi-Wan and Anakin were going to fight each other. Even without knowing 4, 5, and 6, we knew that ultimately there was going to be a butting of heads. Mm-hmm. And they had, winked at it in Episode 2. And then finally it happens, and it's the longest fight scene in Star Wars cinema history.
Yeah.
And I thought it was amazing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, it's very long. It takes a very long time to get through it. There's a lot of the beautiful, elegant, balletic, lightsaber dueling stuff.
It's almost as if they didn't want to kill each other, but they knew that one of them had to die. With like the fancy dancing of their lightsabers. Right. It's kind of like, all right, let's do the motions of what's happening.
I see what you're saying.
But I need to fucking kill you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're best friends. And we all see that that's the thing.
Is that I know that they're trying to convey that they're best friends. But I mean, the only thing that I've seen them do throughout this entire prequel trilogy is just fucking bicker at each other. They're not best friends. They fucking hate each other. Anakin is just this nuisance that, like, Qui-Gon Jinn promised he would be a Jedi, and promised to train him. And so, at the end of Phantom Menace, he was like, I promise you will be a Jedi. And I guess he's just beholden to that whole promise thing.
But between that time, they probably spent a full decade together.
They tell me that they're brothers. They tell me that they're close.
Yeah.
But they don't show it. They don't show me that.
But if you spend 15 years with someone,
if
you have to spend 15 years with someone, you're going to be upset if you're not with that person, whether you butt heads or not.
I get it. I understand that. I have to say it's a shame. Like it's a very like when you think about it, yeah, that would be really tough. However, we're never shown any moment of them bonding throughout any of the
the movies until the expanded universe.
Sure.
Clone Wars.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
I agree.
That sucks. It sucks that we can't just watch the movies and then have a full experience.
Yeah, but if you're watching the movies and you see that 10 years have passed between episode 1 and 2, you're like, all right, they've been together for a while.
We've seen full relationships completely realized in the original trilogy in like a scene.
And that's the problem with the original trilogy, the new trilogy. The new
Okay.
trilogy, because in the original trilogy, months passed. Between the films.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
where
we
a
sense
decade passed.
we
in
sense
1 and
that
2.
the characters have a rapport with one
Yeah.
another. Yeah, there's a part in Attack of the Clones where they're like, I thought I was the one who saved you in that pit of whatever, and then Obi-Wan goes, oh yes. He does like a little laugh, and yeah, that's supposed to be like, oh well, yeah, they have a past, they have a history. Great. I'm glad you're telling us that. You should show us that.
Yeah, they were rushed.
Yeah, it's very, very rushed.
The trilogy could have absolutely been split in two.
There's a lot of like, I hate it when he does that, like
yeah.
stuff. Just these people don't like each other. They fucking hate each other.
Yeah, well, what I was saying earlier, like, don't look at it as a Hollywood movie, but look at it more of this
As
is
a
what you're,
Bollywood movie.
No, you're looking at it. Don't say Bollywood. I'm going to say Hollywood. Don't say Bollywood. So you're looking at it as a Hollywood film instead of as a story. What they're trying to show us in the story by saying these dumb little things like, oh yeah, I remember that, is that time has passed and that they have become friends and that they've gained a rapport where they're joking with each other. But looking at it as, oh, I'm a guy who saw this 10 years ago and now I'm looking at the new one and this didn't happen.
Spot on.
I'm Tom Flynn from Earth. Fuck it. Let's move on. Tom, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is
Poop.
Actually going right off of what you were talking about. It's the higher ground moment. I have the higher ground.
Love that line.
I have the higher ground, so don't try it.
He doesn't. He's lower.
And he has to. I mean, it's almost, I don't know. He says he has the higher ground. Anakin ignores him because he's filled with rage and he's just infected by the dark side of the Force. So he lunges at Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan in one full swoop
cuts a hand and
cuts
2 legs.
Cuts both of his hands and
One hand and
one
2
hand
legs.
and 2 legs because one hand's already been cut off.
Yeah.
Just basically maims him for life. And then Anakin kind of falls and dips into some lava and catches fire. Gently, yeah. But
Hardly.
it's pretty strong imagery. He's just catching on fire and he's like, I hate
It was
you.
a terrible moment.
I hate you. Yeah, it's crazy. So that happens. And then Anakin or Obi-Wan just kind of stands there, watches it happen, and
You are my brother.
he's like, you are my brother. We have history. Again, would have liked to have seen that, but I understand how you feel. It's a very powerful moment. And yeah, the original trilogy existing adds so much weight to this scene.
Yeah. If 1, 2, and 3 came out first, people wouldn't watch 4, 5, and
People
6.
would be shocked.
Yeah.
Well, people would be shocked at this scene. People would be beyond shocked. They'd be like, where the fuck is this coming from?
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like
1, 2, and 3 were they were 100% built for people who have already seen 4, 5, and 6
right.
to say,
if they had already,
let's make this
Yeah.
as deep and dark as possible so
Totally.
that you know why 4, 5, and 6 is happening.
right.
I love that scene, but I agreeing with you, I would have loved to seen the fight scene go on a little bit longer, where the hand and legs were chopped
Come to
off
life.
at different parts Not all in one quick swoop, because honestly,
a Monty Python
Anakin
type of thing.
at this point is more powerful than Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
And clearly he is, because he kills him in episode 4. So it would have been better if
I think that Obi-Wan in episode 4 kind of lets it happen though.
he does, but
He's ready.
Yeah.
He kind of winks
but
at
he
Luke.
accepts it because
He winks
he's
at Luke
just
before it
sick
happens.
he's just sick of everything. Just kind of all right. Let's.
He
just
doesn't
get this
even.
over
He
with.
doesn't. He doesn't defend himself. He closes his eyes and then brings his lightsaber up and like communes with the Force while right before Darth Vader strikes him down.
But he just
He says,
accepts. He accepts it,
Yeah, if you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
and it's not
So.
true because Anakin also becomes a space ghost. But yeah.
Well,
Episode 1 through 3
I
was
think-
absolutely put in just to put emphasis on 4, 5, and 6.
sure, and make them better movies, maybe.
Yeah.
It is interesting to watch A New Hope and see Anakin or see Darth Vader walk through that corridor in the rebel ship for the first time and see him, and you go, oh shit, that's Anakin. He's still stuck in this fucking, suit.
Yeah.
It's
4, 5, and 6 are so good.
it's interesting.
And then 1, 2, and 3, while they aren't good as a let alone story,
they're interesting. They're fascinating messes, I would
Yeah.
say.
But they make Vader look so much better. Like
Yeah.
if you had to deal with your
That said-
twins getting ripped from your dead wife
Yeah.
and your mentor killing you because you thought that you could save your wife, who ultimately died, and now you're Darth Vader, like it does a really
Yeah.
good job building up 4, 5, and 6. It doesn't do a good job of building 1, 2, and 3 as
Yeah,
their own
it's not.
stories
They're not their own
at all.
stories. They're basically stories in service of their original trilogy. So, let's let's go to our number
Number one. You go ahead.
I'm just gonna say Darth Maul.
You know
I
what,
love.
Tom?
What's that? What's up?
I got Darth Maul too.
Holy shit!
I did put Jar Jar Binks next to it because I was going to put a little joke in there. But
No, okay.
Darth Maul is my absolute favorite part of 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I think that character, he's like the Boba Fett of the original trilogy. Almost.
Yes,
I think.
absolutely.
Like people they kind of project their own sort of stories and origins on top of him, I think. And they're like, how did he become the way he is? Wouldn't it be awesome if he survived, or if he hadn't have died in the first movie and then continued throughout the rest of the trilogy? I think that would have been badass if he would have been like the main bad guy, almost like the Darth Vader of it.
It's
You would have learned more about him as it went on,
yeah,
etc.
And in the EU, I would love to know his upbringing, but in the EU, we find out that Darth Maul is still alive.
I know, and
He has a robotic lower half, which is absolutely doable. If you get cut off at the pelvis, you're fine. If you get cauterized at the pelvis, you're fine. It's very possible that Obi-Wan didn't strike a single artery.
You have to pee or poop. Sorry.
So, I have not read the comic book that goes with it, which is the new Disney canon.
Okay.
I haven't read that yet, but it's all Darth Maul right after, I believe, episode 2.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's great that we're delving so far into people have the option to dig far into the Star Wars universe that they have with or that they can with the expanded universe and everything. I wish that these movies could stand on their own. You know what I mean? Like I wish that like Darth Maul could have been given the service that he's due within the films.
Well, we had this conversation with The Thing, where McCready dies at the end, or McCready, lives at the end, but in a video game,
At the same
he
time,
survives.
Well, yeah, in the video game, he does survive, but at the same time, it's kind of like it's cool that we don't know what happens. Like it
But
doesn't.
it's cool that
it's-
we don't know
doesn't
what
matter.
happens in Episode 1 to Darth Maul. We think
Well,
he dies.
I think he dies, and I think he's dead. He's
Yeah.
because he's not in the rest of the movies. So who gives a shit? To me, I mean, like, yeah, I would like to know. I would love to have seen. I feel like that character is too powerful to have died right there.
But
And
there's people who watch Star Wars and then are like, all right, I'm gonna watch Episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I'm gonna watch the movies. I know what's happening in Star Wars. But then there's the people that are like, what happened to Darth Maul? Did
Right.
Darth Maul really die in that? And those are the people who are watching 1 through 7 and then are reading the comic books and watching the cartoons and everything and are actually finding out what happens. Where the people who watch 1 through 7 and that's it are accepting the fact that Darth Maul's dead. And they're just like,
Well, yeah,
all right, that's
because-
what happens.
because like if he doesn't come into the fold at all in the rest of the movies, then like I wish that his story was worthy of being in the movies. Like I wish that the character itself was so cool. I wish that he could have been in the rest of the movies. You know what I'm saying?
But the thing that what they're doing with canon, I don't know if they're going to do this, but Episode 8, Darth Maul could show up. That's the thing. Darth Maul could show up. Jar Jar Binks could fucking show up.
They won't.
No, they
They're
won't.
trying to
But
distance
that's
themselves
the
as
thing.
much as they can.
They're built to make you want to see what this character's doing. So you have to read or watch the other parts of these series to see where the character's led to. But it's also set up for people who just accept that Darth Maul died. People who accept, all right, Jar Jar Binks became fucking Chancellor for a day and made the Emperor what he is, and then
Cool.
just kind of left. They accept that. Except in the EU, we don't know what happened to Jar Jar Binks.
Ew.
Ew. But that's all there for people who want to know more about the story. But there's also people who are just fine with the movies and accept what happens. But like what you just said with Darth Maul. Oh, yeah, couldn't happen. So read the comic
Spot
books.
on.
Read the comic books. Watch the shows. Like, if you care enough for the character, you can find what's happened with them.
Cool. Yeah, it's just, all I'm
The way
saying.
that you say "cool" makes me feel like you're really pissed off at
I'm
the last
sorry.
thing I said.
No. Look. I'm not. You know I love you. Okay,
Hold my
Dylan.
hand, Tom.
we're holding hands.
Tom
right
and I
now.
are holding hands. He's looking in my eyes. I'm looking at his.
Do you moisturize?
Sammy's
'Cause
taking
I
a
think
picture
you
of our
do.
hands. I don't moisturize. I just have never done an honest day's worth of work.
I see what you're saying,
Thank you.
and I understand. I
accept your beauty.
get it. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Accept your beauty as well.
Thanks.
I just wish.
I'm going to leave your hand.
Okay, we can detach. You want to keep holding hands? Okay, great.
Okay,
We're holding
we'll
hands. All right. I wish. I just wish that that Darth Maul could be in the rest of the movies.
I would absolutely love Darth Maul to come back.
Wouldn't that be awesome? But no, I wish that they would not have killed him. I wish that they wouldn't have cut him in half. I think he's fine as a character who's a biped.
I would have
he's
loved
fine.
for Star Wars to not kill any of the characters.
I would love it if Darth Maul was like the Darth Vader of the prequel trilogy. If he had carried on throughout, I would love it if fucking Anakin was basically a teenager through a young man for the entire
episode
thing.
1 should have started with Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, I don't
Absolutely.
see the need in having him be a little boy. I don't feel the need to know where evil originates from.
Episode 1 should
It's
have started
just
with episode 1 could have started with Anakin, Hayden Christensen,
Yeah, it's
starting with his mother getting killed.
it's the same gripe that I have with the Halloween remake
And he could have been. We're not getting into Halloween.
because
And Hayden Christensen could have pod raced. Yeah, they could have absolutely done that. I have no problems with Hayden as Anakin at all. But I feel like
I feel like
Hayden could have been all 3 episodes. Absolutely.
it's also weird to me knowing how much older do you think Padme is than Anakin?
I think she's like 5 years older.
I think that she's like 10 years older than him.
I think she's only 5. I think
Okay.
Natalie Portman was 12 or 13,
Natalie Portman,
and he
is
was
my age.
7-ish.
she was 18. Jake Lloyd was fucking 4 years old or something.
Anakin was 9. Padme was 14.
Okay.
It was a very short. I knew.
Apparently, there's a 5-year age difference we have from Sammy.
I knew that it was. They were fairly close. Like I'm 26. I would absolutely date someone who's 31.
Hey, cool.
Like even back to someone being 15, I would try to date them at whatever my age would have been. 10? What's the 10?
I don't know if I
would have tried.
I'm 34 currently, and by the time this airs,
You wouldn't date a 29-year-old?
by the time when does this air? December 15th.
I don't know. Yeah.
December 15th is my 35th birthday.
And I'll be 27 by then. Because mine is.
I'm happily
next
married.
weekend.
I'm happily married.
Me
I
too.
love my wife.
I love Tom.
And I love
wife.
you, Dylan, too. I'm not sure. I could probably. Well, if the circumstances were what they, whatever. I'm not sure if I could be with somebody 5 years younger than me. Maybe I could. I don't know. Maybe we'll see.
We all could.
We'll cut this part. Cool.
I'm so fucking stoked on this because I love talking about
Star
Wars.
with I am so. Can you
I
do
can't
that?
say fucking.
Can you say no? Start with I am so fucking. Go ahead.
I am so fucking stoked because I love Star Wars and I'm so glad we got to talk about this. And if I could make this happen, I would have every single episode that we've ever done Star Wars because it's one of the only things that I don't need someone to come in to teach me about.
Right. Star Wars is one of the only constants throughout my entire life. I can't remember a time when I wasn't into Star Wars. I think Star Wars is greater than anything George Lucas could have even come up with. I think that Star Wars is better than anything that the prequels have limited it to be. Star Wars is just, it's an amazing world that we want to dig deeper into, and that teaches us that we're capable of more than we can even perceive that we are capable of. Right?
Absolutely.
Right?
It's such a takeaway from life, and it got me so excited about so many things. Like most of the scripts that I have written have been because I enjoyed Star Wars so much.
But guess what? There's a lot more Star Wars that we have to discuss. Is that right?
There's so much. I've read all the comics. I'm watching Star Wars Rebels, Star Wars Clone Wars, and then we're going to absolutely lead into the next trilogy, which starts with Episode 7, The Force Awakens, which I can't fucking wait
But
for.
we're gonna the next episode is gonna be about the original trilogy, which I'll have a lot more positive things to say about. Right?
I will have an equal amount of emotion for the original trilogy because I love Star Wars in general.
I get your point. Star Wars is great.
All right, well, let's wrap this episode. I'm going to end this with a toast, and I would love to say, Tom, Republic credits will be fine.
And I would like to say, no, they
Thank you for listening.
And Dylan, with that, I'm going to ask you to raise a glass. May the force be with you.
And also with you.
And with your spirit.
And also with yours.